Revenge on cheating wife, now ex, as well as the karma that came afterwards. So I am in the army and I was married. I was approaching my first deployment to Iraq. It was very stressful, and it had my wife wanting me to find a way to stay and not deploy. Obvious things any wife would try to talk about. Anyways, so we have no kids but both want them. So we talk about getting out of debt while I'm gone. She talks to her best friend back home in another state where we are both from. Her friend agrees to let her move in and charge a modest $300 in rent so that we can get out of debt and start a family when I come back. A plan I was actually very pleased with. I deploy, she is there crying her eyes out saying she will miss me and loves me, and we will start a family when we get back. Fast forward 2 months. She starts acting distant, not wanting to talk much on our scheduled calls or text back 1 or 2 word answers. We've been together 6 years, she is never at a loss for words. Anyway, one day she says I need some space. She asked someone who is 10,000 miles away for space. I say why. She says she just needs space. She wants to find herself. So I remember back when we lived at home, she had a guy who was always being borderline inappropriate. I'm not a very jealous person and I trust her. So I start seeing said guy on in basically all of her pictures she posts with a group. Every time he is in the picture. Everyone else changes, but never him. So for the first time I'm very jealous and uneasy about everything. So I clone her phone so I receive every text she receives as well as every text she sends. I'll never forget the first text I saw after cloning her phone. Hey babe, I'll see you after work, want me to save you any of my leftovers? From her to him. It destroyed me. I lost 35 pounds in a week. I didn't eat or sleep, I stared at the phone watching every conversation. Watching them talk about trying to have a baby. It was literally everything a married person fears. I ask her if she is seeing someone, and she says no, she isn't. She is taking care of herself, and she loves me, blah blah. I don't say anything about receiving her texts for 2 months. Over this time, she finally admits cheating and that he is so much better than me at sex, treating her right, and he does what she wants. During this time she pays our debt off, gets tattoos with him, matching I love you tattoos, goes to shows with him, buying clothes with the money I'm making. So this is where revenge starts. I put a freeze on the account for a month. In that time I change every password to every account to things she won't guess, army jargon slang terms. I block her on FB and my phone so she has no way to contact me. She lost her car to repo a few months later, got kicked out of her place, had to sell her prized shoes and purses just to stay alive. I then find out she got a job at her old restaurant, so I post all the text conversations I have with her and the guy talking about having babies that have timestamps on it, as well as post conversations we had with the matching timestamps showing all of our friends what she has done. I then have friends call and complain at her job constantly on both he and her. They work at a restaurant, so I also have friends dine and dash. They both get fired. So she tries to call my command and tell them that I am abandoning her and she can't provide for herself. My commander knows what is going on. He does nothing because he had something similar happen. Then about a month before I come back, she calls me from another number to tell me she is pregnant with his kid. Mind you, I'm still gone, so we cannot get divorced yet. She moved away with him. 10 hours from me. April 24, 2018. She calls me 5 months pregnant, crying uncontrollably, asking me where she should go. Apparently, they have a giant blow-up fight. She tells him she is leaving. She says she doesn't know where to go and I simply say sorry. Not my problem anymore. Fast forward January of this year. She calls me from a mutual friend's phone. He hit me. Ike, what to do? Me. Maybe you don't cheat on your husband when he is deployed for some guy who talks a big game. Well, I guess you are happy about this? Me. No, but I'm glad. I know I'm not the bad guy in this story. And then the next month he is cheating on me with 2 girls. I'm sorry. I regret everything I did. I fucked it all up. Me. Yeah, you did all, and all. This woman destroyed my life. Put me into a deep depression I'm still dealing with. But I do feel a little better having proof that I wasn't the problem. To think if this happened even 10 or 5 years ago, I would have come back to an empty bank account, an empty house, as well as seeing my then wife pregnant with another man's baby. She actually hit me up yesterday to ask for some money to help cover rent. Edit. Answer a few questions. I realized I left out that we got divorced before the kid was born, so I have no financial responsibility to her. Haven't now for almost a year. I mainly use T-Mobile's Digit service to clone the phone. Google it, I don't feel like typing it. Also no, I wasn't celebrating that she was physically abused. I did tell her to call the cops, but that's all I did. It's not right to abuse someone, but I also have no responsibility to watch out for her well-being. Story 2. How do I 39 male get my friend 29 female to respect boundaries? I 39M met a person 29F about over 2 years ago on a trip to see a friend for their birthday. We ended up being seated next to each other on the flight and only got to talking the last 45 minutes of the flight when she asked if I knew where her connecting gate was at the airport we were arriving in. We connected via social media after the flight, and there was definite chemistry. As things progressed, I asked her out and was told, sorry, I only date people of my same faith. I decided to remain friends with her as she has a pretty wide social circle in my town and could always use the opportunity to meet new friends. We hung out quite a bit through the pandemic and got to know each other better. Fast forward to the last few months, she begins to confide in me about personal issues as well as work challenges, which is fine. Then, the discussions turn more intimate, where she is expressing her desires but won't act on them due to her morality. The last few days she has asked to hang out, and I've rebuffed her requests politely because I don't feel much like hanging out with her because it's going to turn into another dump of her issues and such. I get a message this morning saying that she feels I have been distant. I have, and that she's sorry for saying something that might have bothered me. I responded and told her that I'm working through some issues and don't much feel like hanging out with other people. She fired back with telling me that communication is key and she's not a mind reader. She also expressed annoyance that I met up with a friend/coworker to take our dogs to the dog park yesterday, but when she invited me out, I declined. I'm kind of at my wit's end on how to approach this and figure out what my next steps are. Story 3. My boyfriend, 25 male, said he lost some of his female friends because of me, 20 female. My BF, 25, and I, 20, are going through a rough patch and we both want to make this work. We have been together for 1 year. He has done things that made me feel insecure in the relationship and myself. In April, I caught him flirting with another girl on Discord, and I found a nude of another girl in his recently deleted. He said it was a moment of weakness. He said that him flirting with another girl didn't mean anything to him. We had many long conversations and talked about setting boundaries in the relationship and our expectations of each other, as one of my main concerns was that I didn't trust his relations and/or how he interacted with his female friends. We both agreed to them. One of them was not liking provocative/thirst pictures of other girls. There have been multiple instances where he has done something that disrespected the boundaries we set, which made me feel insecure and uncomfortable. I expressed how uncomfortable it made me feel, and he proceeds to unfollow them. For instance, I found out that he liked the thirst trap of another girl, and when I brought it to him, he said he was supporting a friend because she wore a costume that he liked. We had an argument yesterday, and it was super heated. He said he's lost 4 female friends because of me. This made me so upset. I proceeded to tell him that I never once had an issue with any of your female friends before April, and even after we set boundaries and expectations. There are multiple instances where you have disrespected the boundaries we set. I told him that it was unfair to put the blame on me when it was his fault, that there is no trust/security in this relationship even after we talked about setting boundaries. Today, I'm feeling conflicted. I'm sad because to him, I'm the reason that he lost 4 of his female friends. I'm scared that my BF is going to resent me in the future for making him lose 4 of his female friends. But I also feel indignant, like it's not my fault. I didn't force him to do those things, he did those things himself, and now these are the consequences of his behavior.